To continue the next part of the Dark GDK dungeon series here for your own modifications for people who've been wanting to modify the engine to their own liking. That's what this series is about. And I'm going to leave off kind of where the last video left off, where we were changing the maze, which is right here. You may not notice here, but I added another whole section here to the maze. I think this is the part, let me double check. Yeah, 32. It was originally 22, so I added 10 more. So I also gone in here and I changed one of the tiles here. Let me show you which tile I actually changed here. I think it's in this one right here. This is how you actually find the tiles in the game too. Actually, let me just look for it in here. I don't remember the name of it. I changed the brick tile, which is the look back here in the maze. The ones here, these are the brick walls. I think that's actually the lower wall versus the higher one. There's two walls. There's 1 and 2. So here's 2 and here's 1 right here. So I went in here, and what I did is I changed the tiling to 18. You don't need to change this. This is just the object of the game. So if you remember this 18 right here, I went back here and I added in a new section here for 18, which is right here. And here's where it's located at Media, Oak Door, BMP. Should be down in here somewhere. Right here. It's this one right here. So I added this, and when I run it this time, you'll see this in the game as well as the enlarged maze. So I also turned off the sounds here, just by, you know, commenting out those lines with dB sound and everything. So I also set up an executable so I can run it instantly. You can watch my how to make an exe file to learn about that. Basically all you're doing is you're just taking the folder where all the files are located. Whether it's, if you debug it inside of the release here, it needs to go inside of the release folder. If you use it inside of debug, then you would want to copy the media folder here, which I think I already have it here. Let's see. So you would copy the media folder here, and we could just set it in debug mode just by doing that. Changing this and just rebuilding this. Take a second here and you'll see it. There it is right there. So now we got the new file or the new executable. Just double click it and allow the game to run a little bit faster than if you had to wait for a normal compile into the DLL. So here we go. So see the walls here? I changed the outside now. Instead of having that, you'll still see the other one, but this red one here has been replaced with this wooden wall now. So there's different places. I just kind of placed it around here. And these guys are not making any sound when they fire at me. They're still charging after me because I've still got their ability to run after me. These are the oops. I wonder why that crashed there. And then just try this again. Probably something else I left out in the game. Recently I also took out the health in the game too, so maybe something affected that. So that every time they shoot me I don't end up dying. I wonder if it's when a bullet hits me. It's not that. Unless it's something down here crashing it. I don't know what it is, but anyways, hopefully it doesn't crash again here. And see what I was trying to... Why is this thing crashing now? Let's see. Well, you get a gist of what's been going on here. You can kind of see it for yourself now and see that the firing sound's still on and everything. I don't know if you can hear that, but we're going to go in, and this time we're going to change the poles here. This pole, we're going to make it one of these other tiles. So let me just kind of show you how to do that right now. We'll go back to where we were earlier here, at the top, right here. And then we just have to pick a tile here that you want to use for the marble here. I think this one's kind of neat. We can try this one. Barnacles, I don't know what that is. Basically, you just copy this. The easiest way to do it, I just copy this whole thing here. DB load image. Remember, we're going to be using a different object, so we're going to change this one to number 19, so it sets a place in memory for 19. And you just change the name of it right here. And this is the first step. And it's going to be called Barnacles. and I believe it's already a BMP file. You properties and check it. It's a BMP file, so I think you can hover over it sometimes. Yeah, it tells you to. Okay, so now we're going to go down and we're going to find the area and we're going to change the texture to a 19, just like we did change the other one to an 18. So what we need to do is we need to go back to, if you want to kind of see what's going on here, for those who are just starting here, this little O right here, these represent the pillars that you see in the game that we're going to be changing here. So we just look down here for the case here. The case here that will say the O, basically, that's what we're looking for. I don't know exactly where it is. Might have missed it here. Let's see, right there it is. So this is what we're going to do, is we're going to change this texture, which is right here. Object texture to, I believe it's this one. Let me go back up and check and see what 4 shows, just to be safe. So 4 shows wall 1. And what does wall 1 look like? That's back here. It's in this side right here. Wall 1 is this one. Actually, that's not the one. I think it's probably 2. Bazooka. Let's see what that is. Bazooka. It might be that one. I think it's that one right there. So I think it's number 2. And let's just go back to where the case statement was. I have to record where this is. It's coming right up after the walls. Okay, so here. I'm just going to set up a breakpoint there so I can kind of track where it is in the program. When I go scroll down, I'll be able to find it. It won't stop the game, but it'll just so that when we're looking for it, we can find it. So I want to get some more information about this texture file. And actually, there it is, texture object, right above it. I was looking at the object texture, but then there's 2. I noticed okay, this is a scale object texture. This is the one we want. So it's number 5. And I'll go back and I'll look at 5 and show you. And I believe it was 19. Let's go back and look at that DB load image. So number 5 right here is wall 11. I'm just doing this to show you what it originally looked like here. Actually, it's wall 11C. Wall 11C, right? This one right here. So this is the one it originally looked like. That's exactly correct. So now we're going to go ahead and recompile this, and let me get back to the debug folder so I can show you what's going on here. Samples. Almost forgot where it was at. It's Dark Dungeon, and we're in debug, so it's right here. So you just rebuild. There's the new one right there. Okay, we'll just run that. Now, based on what you just saw here, we just crashed here. Probably have another image that's not loading or something. Let me just try this again. And something else is going on here. So let's go back to where we were. I have a feeling I have to change this somewhere else. Texture number 5. It's not finding 19 for some reason. Let me see if that fixes anything. See if that's the line that's giving us the trouble. No, it's something else. Okay. So we know that one's safe to do. So I'm curious if I take this out. What else did I change here? I must understand why it's doing that. So I'll give you a minute here, run this. I tried to run it directly, my fault. Takes longer when you recompile it and try to run it. Okay, so it didn't crash there. Okay, so something else. So let's go back. It must have been that one we changed earlier. Down in here. Doesn't seem to like it when I change this one. Let's see what that is all about here. You can go to the help file and find out more information about the modules and the methods that are being used in Dark GDK. You search for it. It's right there. Specified image. Looks like I have to do 2 of these, I think. Object image. So that's interesting. Let's try it that way. Okay, we'll run it. Hopefully it doesn't crash. And here they are. Actually, it didn't even change it, did it? It didn't texture it. When it doesn't texture it, it turns all white. So something went wrong. Stage, image, image object. 5 is the object, and image. It's probably this one below it. Let me change this one and see what, if that does anything. I've forgotten how to change these. Nope, still white. Okay, so let's put it back the way it was. I think it was originally like that. So we know number 5 is the object that's being used for the O, or the pillars. I don't get why it's not letting me change it that way. This always changes it, but it seems to be crashing it every time I change this. Let me see where else. Number 5, what does 5 show? Yeah, it's the wall. 18, 19. Make sure I can find it and everything. Make sure I spelled it right. Never thought to check that. If you have a misspelling on it too, that'll cause it to blow up as well, because I won't be able to see the image. You know what? I think I just realized we're probably changing the wrong folder. Let's see. Media is right here. So it needs to be able to look in this folder and see it right here. So barnacles, BMP. That's probably why. I see it's not even in this folder. I don't see it here. We can change any one of these other ones and it would appear. It couldn't find this bitmap. We probably have to move it, basically. So let's move it. I don't remember where I put it at now. Go back in this one again. Saw it in textures. That's right here. So we have to copy this one. It'll be kind of a step to follow, guys, but you have to do what the program's asking for. And then we're going to jump into the other one. And since it's in the debug folder, we're going to stick it in the debug folder. It needs to go into the same area where these are loading into. So now it's in there. Okay, just copy it in there. Now it's in there. And you just learned something important too there. Always make sure you have your files in the correct directory when you're compiling it. Especially when you're creating like an executable, it won't be able to see it. So now it should let us change it. If I've done everything correctly, which I think I did. Okay, I know you didn't get to see it compile that time, but let's go back. So I think it was right here. I'm just doing this so I know which one to run. That's this one right here. It's always the one up from the folder where all your media files are located at. Usually that's how to find it. Notice I was in debug earlier, and then now it's, well, it was in media, and now like if you go to media here, and you just go back one here, and it's that one right there. You can always tell too by the time where it's compiling. 403 and it's 404 here, so looks good. Let's try that. And there it is. Oh, that looks weird, doesn't it? Very strange. It looks kind of really weird from a distance. It like, doesn't it look kind of strange? You can see it up close. That's the barnacle right there. It looks kind of strange. I think what we're going to do next is we're going to turn off these guys' movement. I turned it off in the game. You can see how why I turned it off. It's pretty aggravating. They're like right on top of you and everything. So, show you how to do that. That's in the update baddies section. And then feel free to go ahead and change anything in here. I think I'll add another wall in here. We're going to add some of those other little walls in here too. And make an entrance so you can still walk through there. And one right there. I'm going to make it, we'll expand this one, make it a little bit longer. And make you have to go around this one a little bit. Like that. So that's where it does. It takes you all the way to the back there. And we'll add another one right in here, I think would be good. I also have to turn off these little white dots here. You're going to see the floor. Like kind of see-through thing. And the dots just representing the floor. The tile for the floor. That looks pretty good. Alright, save that and let's go back here. And now we'll find their their movement. This right here turns them around to face you. So where does their movement actually occur? It's in here, I think. Update baddies, so it's in this section. I had to turn off several of these movements before just to get them from chasing you. I think it might be this one. I don't know which object is which without looking them up. I'm going to guess at them for now. So we'll comment that one out. And this one, it's another distance movement. And I think that one is this right there. As you see with that same CZ call equals O. So basically, if they're touching the pole, they move around it. So we probably don't want to turn. Well, that still indicates their movement. So we can just turn that one off too. And if they're touching the other poles, this moves them around and rotates them around the poles. We're talking about the bad guys. So I don't know what this one is saying. Equals 1 equals 2. Looks almost the same as this one. I'll turn it off anyway. We'll stop some of them from moving, maybe not all of them, but I think that should stop most of them. We'll find out who's still moving. Let's compile it and run it again. Yep, now they're just firing in a corner. Oh, these guys are moving. Nope, they're frozen. And these guys, let's see if they're moving. They're just turning around, but you can go right between them now. And they can't do anything. Can't chase you anymore. Now let's go see the new maze we created here. See, I added some new walls here. Added a little tunnel there. I think this one goes back to the other room. It's kind of like a longer tunnel here. Anyway, I'll show you how to add some lights next. I stuck a pole right between there. That's interesting. Have to reposition that pole. Looks like I'd go around it anyway. And there's a tile there. It's probably missing a circle somewhere. That little period represents the floor. Look at that one. I love that when you line them up, how they look like a little entrance. And here's the rest of it. Just like all the way to the very, 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 very back. Now we're at the we're all the way down at the end. You see what I mean? If you don't position them far enough away, they eventually can't redraw the screen fast enough. So I usually try to position the walls in so much range before, otherwise it looks pretty bad. Like right now, you're looking at the whole length of the hall there, but you see what I mean? It doesn't really, it can't, I don't know if there's a method that Dark GDK has developed, the game creators, that would determine how far the range is. If somebody knows, let me know. I haven't really researched it enough to really know yet. But that's basically, let's see if this one has the same issue. Looks like that one's not, that one's kind of good in a range view of things. So we'll go ahead and add some lights. And you just keep having fun changing stuff. And I'm going to change these poles too. I don't like these poles. They look kind of awkward from a distance. See how they kind of like there's movement in them or something. So you can just change those. Remember, you always want to put everything back into the folder where you're debugging from, or if you're releasing, you'll want to put the same files that you change in that folder. So anytime I go back down to this one, I need to reposition any other one. So I think I'll probably end up just moving them all in that one. Let's see, where were they at again? Trying to remember where I found them at. It was back here, samples, viewer. Oh, I think that was it. It's just different ones, models. They include a lot of these with the Dark GDK, so most of them you get when you download it. And I'm talking about the image files. Seem to have lost where the textures are. Let me see if I have it over here anywhere. Should have just set up 2 separate folders here. It'd be easier to track this. So let's see here. Hopefully you're getting the idea by now, though, how to move and, you know, add to your world. Alright, basically modify and expand the engine. I'm sure it was in samples viewer. Maybe it's this one. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to select all these. Oh. Select all these. Copy. And we're going to move them to our debug folder. To move it around here, I got to go back in here again. Oh, too far. So, Dark GDK, media. No, wrong one. It's this one, I think, samples. Dark Dungeon. And we're in the debug. So it's in this one. So you're always 2 levels deep, and we're going to stick them in this one. Actually, we have a replacement on this one, so we don't want to copy that one. It's like we have a lot of replacements here. Okay. So there's all the new ones. So let's see what this one looks like. There's like a brick one here. We could take that one. I'm going to replace that with the pole just to see. Well, actually not with the pole. You know what we do is we'll replace that with the higher wall. Number 2 in the maze. When I say number 2, remember again I'm talking about these numbers right here. This is the earlier wall, and this is the one we're going to be changing next, is the 2, the case for the 2. Where it scans the maze and it finds the 2. Right down here. Now I'm going to do this a little bit backward and see if you guys can recall something else I need to do. We're going to change the object here, and we're going to change it to 20. And the texture in the object to 20. You remember what else we have to do? If you guessed we have to load the image correctly, we always need to add and load the image in first. It doesn't matter whether you do it first or last, but you want to make sure you include it so it knows where to find that new texture. Okay, there it is. Okay, so we got that one changed. So now we're going to get to see the new texture for that. And I said I also wanted to change the texture for the pole. So I think that one looks pretty good. Let's try that one. So we'll change the barnacles so we don't have to move the texture number, and we'll just put in that new name. Granite chippings. T. Okay, so we have that one changed, and I also did mention I wanted to put some light in. I'll teach you about the lights. I think they already have some in the maze, so let's go back and look at that first. You see these letters here? This B right here, and this R. There should be a G around here somewhere. I don't know where it is. The RGB, the red, green, blue. So basically those are representing the colors in the game. So if you go down here, before I add it into the maze, I'll show you where it's getting it. You're probably getting a hang of this now, but the cases represent what you're going to change, and whatever you're going to do within that case is going to change that area. So this is the red, this is the green, and this is the blue. Now my original program, I added different colors. I think I added a yellow and a white to mine, just by changing these right in here, all this stuff right in here. Let's go ahead and add in the lights for the longer part of the maze here. So we'll stick them in here. Green. What is it? RGB. Make a blue down here. green, blue. You could actually mix them up too, as long as you're always using the same ones. Make this one kind of a reddish. And I guess we'll make the last part green. Let's try that. Okay. Where did it go here? Let's see, medium icons. It's right here. That's the one. Now you'll see all the new changes we made from adding the changed poles, the new colors, and whatever, all the new walls. Right there. There's the pole. Remember that image we saw earlier? That's it right there. So that one looks kind of cool. This room is dark. I might need to add lights in this one too. Now, my question is where are the lights? There we go. There's a light. See how it lightened up the room a little bit more? You can kind of see it a little bit better. This one's really bright. I don't remember if that was the red or green, but you can see them. When you stick more of those in there, it makes the room brighter and brighter. Of course, if you stick them all over the place, you'll notice it got just really brighter. It got the brightest down here at the very end. So watch as we go backward, it'll get darker and darker. So you got a little bit less light there. Now it's going to get a little bit darker again. Now we're going to get really dark. See, now we have no lights. And there you go. So if you want to see the first room have some lights in it, you need to basically use those RGBs down here where we first had our bad guys and everything. I'll stick them in this room to show you. And maybe we'll do one or two more things here and then probably call it a day. Okay, let's see here. So I think this is the first room right here. Let me see. This is where you enter the tunnel, I know that. It's in this one right here. Oh, these bees probably aren't responding. Let's make those like green or something. And in the very last room, I'm going to make it super, super bright. I think if you usually have like 4 of them in here, it's bright enough, but we'll see. And there we go. Okay, so we changed that. We turned off their movement. Let's see if there's anything else I could show you without going into a complete rewrite of stuff. Basically, we're just editing stuff out and we're just renaming stuff and adding new image textures for the lighter part of things. But I had done a ton of things. When you're building a game, obviously you're going to keep adding your own stuff. So you can change the messages in the game right here. This health could be changed to something else. Energy, or whatever you want to call it. In mine, I also turned off the doors opening and closing, and I eventually removed them. You can change them with these, I think it's right in, yeah, update doors. It's in this section right here. I might have just commented it out this whole section, but this is basically how it positions the door, the distance to the player, and I think it changes the image to open them and close them. These are the sounds, of course, of the door opening and closing. That's basically what you do. You just go in and you change stuff with it. Now, if you wanted to see how I stacked the walls, that's probably a little bit more advanced. Maybe I'll do that in another video. But you have to go in here and you have to add in a bunch of more of the walls, and you have to also take out the top ceiling, so it's a little bit more convoluted than it. I would be able to go into a lot of detail to explain here. You can add new stuff though in here. If you have a new image and you want to stick it in here, you just set up a new case. You just basically add it in here. You don't need to go in and change any of this stuff. Remember, this is just only for the length of the maze. And then you stick in your new image down here. So I don't know, maybe we could add a person or something in here. Let me see what's in this folder again. I don't know what this is. These are the images. I have no idea what that is. The name doesn't, bump map doesn't make any sense. I think it's a statue. Okay, so and here's where some of the, these are the people that were chasing you and stuff like that. Actually, no, this is one of the ones I added. We could add this one in. A textureless character. Okay, so let's add that one in just for now. And let's see, where are they being added at? These are the images, so these are the sounds. Maybe it isn't here, let's see. So, no, I know where it is. It's down, you don't add them in the top here. This is just if you're going to load any images. It's actually down here. I've forgotten how this was. You stick them inside where it says DB load objects. So we're going to set up a new area to add our new person in here. So let me find one of these and just copy the code for that, and I'll show you how to change it. So here's the energy box. There's one. There's a salt trooper there. We can do one. We can do that one or the other one. Doesn't matter. I think I'll just do this one. So you copy it down from the case down to the very end, right where the break is, and you just stick in a new area here. Insert it, and we're going to rename this symbol or this character to another character that we haven't yet used in the game. So you say M for monster, or whatever you want to call it. So now this monster will be included in, but this would actually show in this character if you don't change this first. So you want to go in and you want to add the new character here, which is all this, and we're going to point to that, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. So I'm going to see where this one originally came from. I think it's right in here. It's inside this media folder, I'm pretty sure. So Berserker, let's see. It's right there. So they're getting them from this section, so we're going to need to change this directory. Let's see, media, and then we're going to say Miko, M-I-K-O. So now we're going into that folder here. Instead of media, we're going into the Miko. I hope that works. And then the Miko DirectX file. If it doesn't, it'll crash. We already know that. So let's try it. Rebuild it. Okay, no errors. Run it. Oh, you know what? I forgot to add it too. Need to add it in the maze, you're not going to see it. So, we'll stick her in one of these rooms here. If it works successfully, she should appear. So she's the M. If it doesn't, when you get to this part, it'll crash with that error you've seen many times when I've been demonstrating this program. Actually, we got an error there. Let's see here. One of these failed. Build logs cannot open Dark Dungeon exe for writing. I'm gonna try rebuilding it again. It's weird. Sometimes it gives you an error message, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, now we'll try it. You just have to recompile a lot. Uh-oh, now we got a crash going on. So, I had to backtrack out. Maybe I didn't find that case statement. Let's rebuild it again. I'll try running it without the change. See if it crashes somewhere else and not in that area. So it's probably something to do with that area that we just changed. So hopefully I called it an M. I know I had it in there. It wasn't being used by something else. Right there, case M. I don't get why it's crashing there. Probably because, again, it's not finding this section. Okay, so we know that this one is being found down a level. So I think what I have to do, because it's always going to look for the original directory from here downward. So I probably don't want to do this, but I'm probably going to have to move that whole folder down in there somewhere for now to get it to work. Try to figure out where the directory is located at. We know this is where everything's happening at, so we can stick it in here. Okay, there it is. And I'm going to see what this originally showed here. Okay, so originally it was just media, the name of it, so we don't need this section anymore. And okay, that looks good. So it's in the media folder now. Keep it consistent, why not? And let's see if my image was in here. I need to add it back in here. Okay. Let's try it again. What else is going on? The fun of debugging. Oh, I forgot to set up the lower level folder. Because remember when we compiled it earlier here, now it's looking at this section, but we have another folder level here from Miko, so it needs to go another level deep here. So I did actually need that one in there. Make sure this is spelled correctly. Those errors aren't very helpful, but when you get used to Dark GDK and C++ programming, generally I like to say Dark GDK because the errors aren't very good. It'll kind of tell you what's going on. If you look down here, sometimes you can read in here, it'll give you error messages too. That might help. But from experiences where I'm learning this stuff, or where I've learned it. Those are probably some of the bigger errors you're always going to get when you're game programming, is it's not finding the objects that you're trying to implement into the game. Okay, looks like we're good. And there we go. Now let's go find our character. Should be down here somewhere. Where are you hiding at? I almost don't remember where I put it. I added all the newer lights, so you're going to probably notice this room is really, really bright down here now. See how super bright it is now? That's because I added those lights all the room. You still got a little hole there. The character did not show up. Makes me wonder if that's just an object loading issue or what something else is going on. Hey, there's that wall I've been trying to show you. There it is. There's that whole wall. That's what we was trying to find earlier. Now you can see it really big. I should have ran by it earlier, didn't even notice it. Was it in this room I stuck it? Sometimes if you don't position those things correctly, they end up in the wrong place. I don't know if I stuck it here. I'm going to go back and look at the code again. Well, it's not crashing because it gets here and it reads this image. Betty count plus 100. This might be a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. Let me compare this to some of the earlier ones here. Object count, object count, object count, Betty count plus 100. That should set up a new area for it. Actually, I wonder why I didn't find it. Did I take it back out of here? I may have took it back out of here. Let me just stick it. I thought I had it in here. Stick it in there again. I must have undone it earlier and didn't even realize I did that. Hopefully it doesn't crash here, but rebuild it again. I still want to learn OpenGL. There's that error again. We just need to recompile again. I want to learn OpenGL because I know some of the newer stuff you can do with it is pretty cool and everything. But they don't really have any good 3D maze examples since I like the 3D mazes, 3D environments, FPS kind of things. I'm kind of sticking with Dark GDK until I find something. Oh, good. Looks like no crashing this time. Now where is that little image at? There it is. Look how big it is. But you see, I just added in, this is our new monster, the M. Obviously there's no textures because we haven't set up a texture for her, so she's just using the default of whatever the original monster was, which was that green one back here, these ones right here. She's using their textures. So, and there you go. I'm going to kind of leave it there. You guys can kind of play with it from here. I think you've learned a lot in this video to take you forward, to be able to start modding your own mazes and stuff like that. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And if you're interested in subscribing, definitely go ahead and subscribe and everything.